It's Brian Preston, the money guy.
Now let's focus on something I feel like I know a lot of. The 40s.
Yep.
This really is the fork in the road moment. You know, I think for those that heeded the information we've been sharing for the last 2 decades, and they hyper-focused and saved and invested in their 20s and 30s, your 40s might be a period where you can take your foot off the accelerator of saving and investing. But it's also still, this is why I love that glass half full optimistic mentality. Even if you're a person that just discovered our content, a 40-something still has the opportunity to catch up. So it is that fork in the road moment where you have to figure out, can I ease up, or do I need to be saving more because I've gotten very purposeful on this? I want to make sure I maximize the opportunity of these 10 years.
And I think your 40s is such a unique decade because you have this time where you can control what the next 20 to 30 years look like by understanding where the goalposts are. In your 40s, you ought to be able to clearly define what are wants and what are needs. And am I actually moving the goalpost? Am I trying to upgrade the house just because? Am I trying to move into the vacation home just because? Or were those things part of my original plan? In your 40s, you need to begin developing some clarity around that because those decisions are going to have huge impacts on what actual financial independence looks like for you.
I want to challenge. Bo gives this advice all the time, is that he has somebody in his life that shared, when you're in your 20s and 30s, try to think about what success is. So then when you arrive there, you'll have some gratitude or acceptance of it, and you don't try to keep moving those goalposts. Since you're in your 40s, you don't get to do that in your 20s, 30s, but I do think you could probably look back and go, man, this is a time for me to take a deep breath, realize how far I have come, so then you can once again use that wisdom to say, do I need to keep expanding, or is this enough? So that you can be very purposeful with what you're doing. Do you need the fancier car just for the sake of having it? Do you need the bigger house when your kids will be moving out in the next 5 years? All these things have a lot of value, and I really want to challenge you to think in a very deliberate fashion with what every dollar can do for you.
Okay, so let's talk about what are some things that you can focus on. Here's the first thing you need to do in your 40s. You need to make sure you're saving enough. You know, we always give this guidance. We want you to be saving 25%. We want you to be saving 25%. But maybe you're someone who did not take saving as seriously early on, or maybe you're someone who has a desire to retire early and leave the workforce early. You need to be able to figure out, is what I'm saving enough to actually allow me to do the things that I ultimately want to do?
And as you can see, 25%, when you actually look at the numbers, it's still a goalpost in a section where you have opportunities. Because you can see, even if you didn't start saving anything until you were 40 years of age, if you start saving and investing 25%, you still could retire by age 69 with everybody's health expanding, life expectancies going beyond. This is still a very doable thing. 45. Now look, 74 might not seem like the ideal time to retire, but look, this might be a modified retirement because you could always either cut your expenses, or maybe you have the retirement that starts at 65 like everybody else, but you have a part-time job that subsidizes it. You still have opportunity even if you're only saving and investing 25% in your 40s.
The second thing that we would encourage you to think about is, are you saving in the right places? You know, we always give the guidance for someone who's just starting out. Low-cost target retirement index funds are a fantastic solution. But if you've been doing it for a while and your assets are reaching that critical mass, perhaps in your 40s is the time where you don't just focus on what your saving rate is, you actually focus on, how am I allocating my assets? How am I spreading my assets out across all the different asset classes? And then am I even paying attention to what types of accounts I'm utilizing? Do I want to hold this asset class inside of this type of account? Because in your 40s, when your portfolio begins to reach critical mass, those small marginal decisions can have a very big impact over the next 10, 20, 30, even 40 years.
Well, I love, because you're already having a change of mindset there where you're focused on this. This is one of those sections, and this goes to my third point, is that you're also trying to figure out, there's 2 parts of your journey. There's the wealth building part, and then there is the keeping wealth part. And I think there is a good section of people that in your 40s, you do need to transition your mindset to keeping your wealth. We know the research shows the typical millionaire crosses that point at age 49 years of age. Well, if you think about that on number 3, this might be the time to prepay the low interest debt. It's because I always tell everybody, look, from 20 to 45, that's wealth building years. Compounding growth is working in your favor. From 45 and above, maybe you need to focus on entering retirement completely independent, unencumbered, and debt is definitely an encumbrance. This is the time to kind of consider that.
All right, so now let's think about how do we compare to our peers. So if we look at the average American right now, in this year, the median income for someone in their 40s is $57,000, and the median net worth is about $144,000. So you may be asking the question, where should I be? We'll do this. Take your age, multiply it times your income, and divide it by 10. That will tell you where you should be if you want to be an average accumulator of wealth. But a lot of us, maybe our income is different than the median income, and we want to know, where do I stack up across other 40-year-olds? We've got that answer for you as well.
Yeah, I always love, because this is the Millionaire Next Door formula, and we didn't have to change it because, as I've shared already, the typical millionaire is in their 40s. So this is the perfect age to discuss and actually use that formula of age times income divided by 10 to see where you stack up. We already know the median, right under 144,000, but check this out. Top 25%, $404,000 net worth. If you want to be in the top 10%, isn't it amazing how this all works together? $1,095,000. So once again, it proves the data when you read it in the Millionaire Next Door, when you read it in our annual wealth survey that we do. It's not uncommon. The 40s is when you will cross into seven-figure, as evidenced by the data that the typical top 10% of the 40s is $1.1 million.